Hi, I'm Maura Lout, and I'm the Executive Director of the Central Park Conservancy's Institute for Urban Parks. The Central Park Conservancy has more than 40 years of experience and expertise in caring for an urban park, certainly one of the most, if not the most well-known urban park in the world. And the Institute for Urban Parks is really about capturing that knowledge in a way that we can share it with other urban park groups. But not just that, also creating spaces in which park groups can learn not just from us, but also from one another. As the city becomes more populous and urban areas across the world continue to grow, the way we care for our parks is just increasingly important. And that was what the Institute is here to do, to make sure that every city dweller has access to a wonderful, well-cared-for park. This report was composed by the Central Park Conservancy's Institute for Urban Parks in close partnership with the City Parks Foundation, and is a response to two critically important things that happened in the parks community here in New York City as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. In the first place, we saw unprecedented use. New Yorkers flocked to their parks in ways that we'd never seen before, but unfortunately, public and private funding for parks dried up. So in the face of that, nearly 65 organizations from across the 5 boroughs came together to form the Park and Open Space Partners Coalition. And from the work of this coalition, the New Parks Era report was created. It's a collective vision of how not only to ensure that park and public realm spaces survive the next pandemic, but also thrive after the pandemic is finished. And it prioritizes a number of ways to do that, to ensure that all of our open spaces, whether they be blue on the waterfront, green in our parks and gardens, or gray, even the sidewalks and the pathways that we use on a day-to-day basis, are funded, planned for, and protected in a way that ensures all New Yorkers can use them in the way that we've come to rely on them. What we'd like all New Yorkers to see is that at its core, we must treat our parks, waterfronts, and open spaces as the vital city infrastructure that they are. Within the report is a robust list of action items that are intended for a variety of audiences, all of the key players who touch our public realm and use it in some way. This is a bit of a new direction for the Institute, but it was so exciting and rewarding to play a more prominent role in helping to advance open space interests across all 5 boroughs of New York City. In the New Parks Era report, we highlight a number of organizations that are doing incredibly important work throughout the 5 boroughs of New York City. You'll read about organizations like New Yorkers for Parks, which is a citywide advocacy group that's spearheading the fight for more public funding for parks. We also highlight groups like the Gowanus Canal Conservancy, which is using rain garden stewardship as a way to promote and create new green jobs. Right now, the city budget, as it relates to the Parks Department, is just about 0.5% of the entire budget. For the public who rely on these spaces every day, for the policymakers in charge of city dollars, and for the parks and open space operators critical to their stewardship. We wanted not only to shed a light on the vital work that is happening at such a tough time for our city, but also ensure that these stories shape our policies and priorities in the years ahead.